Welcome to the Selling Show, where we unpack, repack, and break down exactly how CEOs, founders, and senior executives sell their ideas, point of view, and personal brand to the people who matter most. This is your host, David Newman, and you are in the right place if you want to build market eminence, amplify your influence, and attract high-value prospects, investors, partners, talent, and media opportunities with less chasing and more confidence. Let's go. Cryptocurrency. I don't know. What the hell is it? How does it work? How do you get wealthy? How do you take out the risk? Is it scary? Is it real? We don't know, but I'll tell you who knows. My two amazing guests, Dane Bollwinkel, Corey Geary. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, brother.
Yep. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having us.
So the first question, and I mentioned this right before we turned on the microphones, we've done over 450 episodes. And we've never done a show on crypto. So for the people listening, I'm going to pull a Denzel Washington. I'm going to ask you to explain it to me like I'm a 7-year-old. What's the world of crypto? What is crypto? And then we'll dig into the good stuff after that.
Yeah, well, let me start, David, with why people should be paying attention to crypto right now, and then we'll go into explain why, because I think the most important thing is to understand why now is such a critical time. Corey and I went back and we've been real estate investors for about a decade. And we both went back, this was about 4 years ago, and we calculated what we were doing in real estate. We both made millions of dollars in real estate. We calculated what we'd done in crypto up to that point. And we both calculated that, long story short, we left somewhere between $10 and $50 million on the table together. And that's not going back and buying Bitcoin when it was only used for drugs and buying guns and things like that, right? That's just 4 years ago. Like, that's a very short time frame. If we'd have known what we do now, we feel extremely confident that we would be up 10 to 50 million each individually, just by understanding some really key principles. Right now, Donald Trump is the president of the United States. He launched his own token. More recently, he's talking about a crypto reserve for the United States. There's countries across the world talking about doing the exact same thing, because everybody knows it. We live in an inflationary environment, and everything that's paper money is only losing value, not gaining it, whereas things like Bitcoin have gone up and to the right over its existence. So that's really important. Trump is buying up assets on the blockchain like crazy. People like BlackRock are doing the same, Fidelity, JP Morgan Chase. You tell me, do you think that those guys are losers and they're buying things when they're too expensive, or do you think they're buying things when they're cheap to facilitate a run and make money? Well, our opinion is they're buying them when they're cheap and they're looking to be able to make money, same as the rest of us. So there's that. And you have so many things like Bitcoin ETFs, Ethereum ETFs, other tokens. All that means is that people like the stock world, they're making products that enable people that have 401ks or union pensions or things of that nature, that they can now add Bitcoin, they can add Ethereum and soon to be other cryptocurrencies to their pension plan, to their 401k, to be able to have that as a hedge, as a diversification method. That has never been done. This is the biggest opportunity in the world right now, in our opinions. Nothing's even close. So those are the things that we're looking at as to why now is the time to be paying attention. We'll likely talk about some of the crypto cycle stuff and some of that here in just a second, but that's why someone should be paying attention right now and why it's so critical to be learning how this stuff works. Corey, what would you add to that?
Yeah, I just want to put a couple data points to what Dane is saying here. Do you know cryptocurrency is the highest appreciating asset class known to mankind? There's no asset class that does what crypto does. In fact, Bitcoin did over 7 million X. Meaning if you put $1 into Bitcoin when it first came out and sold the last top, you would have made $7 million. That is the power of cryptocurrency. In fact, last bull run, which we're on the cusp of the next bull run now. We'll talk here in a little bit about that, like Dane said. The last bull run, though, in 2020 and 21, there was more millionaires and billionaires born out of cryptocurrency than any other asset class, including real estate. There's about 88,000 millionaires and billionaires born out of cryptocurrency. And so it begs the question, why are people focusing all their time and energy on slower wealth creation type assets, businesses, and not focusing on the new, what's here? It's not going away. Dane's point to, nation states are buying it. You got the government involved now. Like, it's not going anywhere, but it's still new enough where you could come in and capitalize on this beautiful asset class before every single nation state owns a Bitcoin and their strategic reserve. Like, by then, you're late to the party. It's over. You want to get in before all these guys start buying, and that time is now.
So again, just for the folks that are tuning in and they're like, hang on. Okay, I get that this is important. I get that there's an opportunity, probably a once in a lifetime opportunity right now at this moment in time. Go back up the truck. Like Bitcoin, it's digital currency, right? It's electronic computer version of money, just like gold, the gold standard that we used to be tied to, right? Paper money was a representation of gold. And so Bitcoin, or digital currency of any kind, cryptocurrency, is a digital version of money, right? So you buy it, you sell it. What are some of the other ABC fundamentals that I'm not mentioning here?
Yeah, that's great, David. And think about it right now. I mean, we pretty much transact with digital money anyways, right? Like you swipe a credit card, you send a wire, like everything's digital anyways. I think people just get lost in the mysticism with cryptocurrency. So with that being the framework, we're already transacting digitally. Things like cryptocurrency are really unique, at least the right ones, where right now we live in an inflationary environment. Everybody knows it. We all feel it when we go to the gas pump, the grocery store, so on and so forth, right? And so with that being the case, you are losing value every single day you're not buying assets, every day. And unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that don't realize that until we're 5 to 10 years in the future. And they're like, wow, I've been getting incremental raises at my job or my business. We've been increasing growth and we have more revenue. But gosh, my buying power, it actually feels less than 5 to 10 years ago. What the heck happened? And that's because of inflation. When you have people like Nancy Pelosi that make the rules and the laws, and they're the closest to the money, and then the money printer gets turned on, well, it ends up in people like her pockets. In fact, Elon with Doge has been going through the government and finding all the inefficiencies and money going everywhere, it sounds like, except to the American people. Like the money gets used improperly. And so with that being the case, Bitcoin was built because of all of these problems. It came out after the 2008 financial collapse. And what it is, or what it set out to be, is a storage system where people could go and buy Bitcoin. And the cool thing is that it can't be inflated into oblivion like a government currency. It's built with code. And so there's only a certain total amount of tokens that will ever be available to exchange. They have to be mined over time. Most of the Bitcoin supply has already been mined. So we've got a pretty good feel of what we've got at this point. And then it just works on supply and demand. So if there's more demand than supply, right, price up. If there's less, then price down. And so that is the fundamental foundation of what Bitcoin, for instance, is, and some other cryptocurrencies where we have, it's called a harder money, a money that can't be inflated and manipulated and people get taken advantage of. We can have an asset that is clean. And the reason that it's clean, the last thing I'll mention here, the reason that it's clean is because it functions on what's called the blockchain. I don't want to lose anybody here, so I'll just give you a huge oversimplification. The blockchain is just a big spreadsheet or a ledger of all the transactions that happen. If I send you money, you some cryptocurrency, David, and David sends it to Corey, and so on and so forth, that's all tracked on a public database that anyone can go and reference and see where the money's trading hands and where it's going. And so it's beautiful because there can't be these backhanded deals that are done in the shadows, like happen in the banking industry all of the time. It's much more clean. And that's why things like these systems are so important to be able to protect ourselves as we move forward in this digital age.
And I'll
Gotcha.
add one thing to that.
Yeah.
When he built this new monetary policy, that's really what it is. Satoshi, he saw the problem like Dane talked about, but he wanted to make sure that he was giving the power back to the people. So he made it truly decentralized, where you're being your own bank, you're having self-sovereignty, you're the one that controls your financial future. And everything you do, like they said, if we transact together, that is permissionless. That is a beautiful word, permissionless. There's nothing that we do in our lives that is permissionless. Think about it. If I take my lovely wife out to dinner tonight, and by dinner, I need permission from the bank on the credit card to approve that transaction. Where you don't have that middleman in crypto. In fact, there was a few months back, my brother, he sent me $20,000 of this crypto that me and Dane are involved in, because he wanted me to do some miners for him. I live in Puerto Rico. He lives in Arizona. It was Sunday night at 2 a.m. He sent the transaction. I had it in my wallet within 10 seconds, and there was no middleman. What a beautiful way to exchange money. Permissionless. And so that was some of the ethos that crypto embedded or he created is what we really resonate with. True, freedom. And we are about freedom, the freedom to transact with whom I want, how I want, when I want, without approval from you or anybody else.
Although the whole David Newman approval thing, I think that could be big. That could be important.
That could work.
We'll talk about that later. About that later. Hold on. This one is so good, even I'm taking notes. Listen, are you a CEO, founder, or corporate executive ready to fix your market obscurity problem and gain the market eminence you and your company deserve? Cool. Book your private Market Eminence Roadmap call with me, and let's see what might be possible for you. The link is simple. doitmarketing.com/call. See you over there. Now, I got to get back to taking more notes. So I'm really curious with both of you, and maybe let's start with Corey for this one. Tell me a little bit about the professional journey that brought you to the work that you're doing today, and what were some interesting pit stops along the way.
Yeah, and I'll try to do the short version of it. But so I've been an entrepreneur for about maybe 12 years now. And I'm blessed to be an entrepreneur. And actually, I tell people it saved my life. I got into real estate first. And when I got into real estate, I was going nowhere. I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic. I got into real estate because I was chasing more money, which there's nothing wrong with that. Money was just a carrot that God was dangling in front of me because he knew it would save my life. Because by being around like-minded people like Dane, I joined a lot of masterminds, people like my mentors, people wanting to level up in their life spiritually, mentally, physically, and financially. It also forced me to level up. Now I've been sober for multiple years. I have a beautiful family and I live in Puerto Rico. And that is due to the entrepreneurship journey for me. It really did save my life. It's an absolute blessing. I thank God every night when I go to bed for that. And then along that journey, though, I did build a pretty robust wholesaling and fix and flip business in the real estate industry. And we were doing around, at the height, around 30 to 60 deals a month. We're making millions of dollars. But I realized that I did not have any freedom. You sold the dream of being an entrepreneur or even a real estate investor because you think you're going to sit on the beach all day and drink margaritas, virgin margaritas. But that's what you think, that's the bag of goods you're sold from the gurus. And it wasn't that, but I was blessed. And I really wanted that freedom. And, I took a step back in 2022 and I was like, I knew there was another iteration of my, entrepreneur evolving. I didn't know what it quite was, so I was trying some things. I don't know if you've ever read the book, David, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Absolute banger of a book. It taught me how to stop clawing my way in life to success and let God guide me in my life to success. And God, he guided me towards cryptocurrency. And now being an entrepreneur, you have shiny object syndrome. You're starting to do this, you start to do that. And I was starting to play around with crypto. I knew it made the amount of millionaires and billionaires that it did from the previous cycle. I knew it was one of the highest appreciating asset classes. I also felt like if I'm going to create legacy wealth in my family and generational wealth, I'm not going to do it in real estate. I need a different tool. And crypto was like, hey, this tool could be it. Sure enough, by the end of 2022, I was making more in passive income in crypto than what my real estate business was doing. And I was like, okay, God, I see exactly what's the next step for me. I shut my company down. I picked up my family and I moved to Puerto Rico, and now we're all in crypto. And then throughout that kind of like shift, a lot of our real estate buddies were coming up to me and Dane and kind of, hey, teach me what you're doing. I don't understand why you're leaving real estate. What's you crazy? Like, it may be, but still. And eventually they kind of talked us into teaching them. And now we have a beautiful community of 300 people of real estate entrepreneurs alike. So now we're starting to like, go towards the other entrepreneurship communities. And it's been awesome to take these guys on this ride with us.
Wow. And Dane, over to you. What were some of your trips and side trips along the way to your current work?
Yeah, Corey nailed it down. My story is a little bit different, but the same vein where we were both doing real estate. So I'm not going to talk a lot about that. But the part that I did want to highlight on, and I think this is so critical, Corey mentioned it in his story, but man, I think as you're going along your path, whether that be, like entrepreneurship isn't for everybody, whether it be a job or building businesses or whatever it is that you're doing, I think that you should do something that you feel that a calling in your heart, that it suits you, right? It breaks my heart every day when we talk to people and they're like, oh, I wake up and I go and I do whatever I do to make money and I hate life. And that's unfortunate. There's so many ways to make a buck out there. You should do something you feel passionate about. And I lost the passion for real estate a number of years ago. And so I knelt down and I prayed just like Corey. And I was like, God, you know what? I feel like you've led me to this cool real estate thing. We've been really blessed, and I feel incredibly grateful for that. But man, like I've lost the zeal for it, and I feel like there's time for change. I don't know if you've had that experience, David, but like sometimes in life you can just feel you're like, I know there's change coming, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, God, I'm there. I can see that there's change coming, and that's, I'm cool with it. If you can just for this next iteration, if you're willing, I would love if I could have more time freedom in whatever the next venture is. I would like to make ideally a lot more money, and I'd like to have greater passive income. If you could help me find those three things in this next venture, I would love that. Within about 3 months of taking crypto very seriously, I bought my first Bitcoin in 2017, and bought some other stuff. It was mostly a side hobby. I started taking it really seriously a number of years ago. And man, within 3 months, I'd put $100,000 into cryptocurrency. I started making $50,000 a month in passive income on that 100. And you don't have to be a genius to say, hey, there's something here. And so off we went, and the rest is history. So Corey did a great job explaining the rest.
It's funny. It's, the universe works in strange ways. This weekend, I'm scrolling through YouTube Shorts, and I come across a little Robert Kiyosaki clip. And the interview is asking him, so talk to me about being rich. What does being rich, what does it mean? And, he gave a first answer, which is sort of the nice answer that most people want to hear. It's not necessarily about money. It's about happiness. And if you love your family and you have friends, but then he says, oh, by the way, the actual definition is if you have $1 million a year of passive income that you do not need to lift a finger to create. $1 million a year, every year of passive income coming to you. And some people do it with real estate, multifamily, apartments, whatever. When you're talking about, I was 3 years into this, and I'm making $50,000 a month. That's $600,000 a year of passive income. I'm sure that's going to go up and up and up, and already is in some ways. I mean, that's it. That's what we're talking about, right? That wealth, quote unquote. What does it really look like or feel like to be rich? Let's talk about the risks, because I think people that are not conversant in this world, they look at this, and I think crypto probably does carry this reputation that you mentioned a few moments ago. Drug dealers, right? Dark web, buying drugs, buying weapons, criminals are using crypto. It's untraceable. It's permissionless. Scary, scary, scary. Help, help, help. Obviously, we talked about the good side of being permissionless and secure and tracked and, what's some of the risk? What is some of the risk and what are some of the false, the media's version of like, oh, it's scary. Don't go there. There's bad people. There's bad things that can happen to you. The way that you teach it with your clients in your community, how do you allay those fears of the risks?
Yeah, why don't we just rapid fire it, Corey? I'll do one, you do one. Let's go back and forth.
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. I'll start. I think I saw a story pop up on my timeline over the weekend where this guy lost his cryptocurrency wallet and he's trying to buy the landfill where it's currently at. It's supposed to be like
600 grand
million or
no, a million, 600 million or something.
Yeah, just bananas. $600 million worth of Bitcoin. So he's trying to buy the landfill to go and recover his cryptocurrency. And so I think people see stories like that pop up, and that happened a lot more frequently in years past because there weren't some of the technological advances that we have today to more easily keep track of cryptocurrency. So I don't have any concerns of things like that. So that's one of the things. People are like, well, what if I just lose my money? And our answer is, well, if you have a system to set things up properly, you don't just lose your money. I haven't just lost my money ever. And that's because I had the system that we teach our students today with our security protocols and all that type of stuff to keep ourselves safe. So make sure you have a system and how you approach it to be able to keep your money so you know where it is and you can access it whenever you need.
Yeah, that's great. I will throw one in there for you. You hear about the volatility in crypto. You hear about people like, oh, I had made, $2 million, but then, I ended up giving it all back because I didn't sell, or they just don't understand how the markets work. And that's really what it is. It's just a lack of education or a system, kind of like Dane was talking about with the security stuff that we do, which we're just using hardware wallets and we have a system in place to get their assets secure. It's the same when you're playing the markets. When you're coming in, you need to understand where you're at in the market cycle. Cryptocurrency works in 4-year cycles like clockwork, and you can tell where you're at in the cycle almost down to the month. It follows around what's called the global liquidity index cycle. You guys can go look that up and you'll see the 4-year cycles of global liquidity fluctuating up and down. And that's how crypto evolves with that. It follows along with it perfectly. And so if you understand when to position yourself into the markets and understand when to limit your risk or take profits when the time is getting heated, it will mitigate a lot of the risk. The biggest part of where people lose money, I'll say the biggest reason why people lose money in crypto is because they come in and buy after it's like all over the 5 o'clock news. Their barber just bought a brand new Lamborghini. The Uber driver's talking about how you made 50 grand on the dog coin. Like all the FOMO stuff that they're hearing. And then that's when new people come in and buy crypto. How do I know that? That's how I bought. That's how a lot of people buy. It's how people get introduced, is because through the euphoria phase of crypto, people want to come in and get that euphoria, but they don't realize that euphoria phase is the top. You're coming in, you're buying the top, and the smart investor who got in at the bottom is now taking profits. It's the old Warren Buffett saying, you buy when people are fearful and you sell when they're greedy. That holds more true in crypto than any other asset class because of the volatility in crypto. But if you can understand that one principle and understand market cycles and understand how to study them and know where you're at, you mitigate not all of it, let's say 90% or 95% of that volatility, that risk that crypto has. And you can come in and just experience a lot of what's the upside potential that it has. It's great. So that's one.
We solve these problems every single month. We had a lot of people where they're like, I was scammed.
Yeah, these are the bad guys that you talked about.
Yeah,
they're there.
Yeah, and we say, what do you mean? And this is what a scam almost always looks like in crypto. Step one, they want to get you feeling emotional. So it's either it's a quick FOMO, you're going to fear missing out, once in a lifetime, you got to get in now, or if you don't, you'll miss it. Or it's, oh my gosh, your assets are compromised. If you don't do something, you'll lose all of them. So they want to
Sure.
get you into an emotional state, and then they act like they're there to help you. This is like par for the course every single time. And what they do is this. In fact, I was trying to figure out something the other day. I had to go do some research, and immediately I have scammers messaging me, acting. They're doing this pattern. We see it all the time. And so they jump in there and they say, "Hey, I'm here to help you," and they give you some bogus reason, and then they want you to do usually one of two things. It's usually connect your wallet to something that they send you in a direct message, which is very dangerous. You don't connect your wallet to things that you don't know, or they send you to a website that asks you for what are called your seed words. I'm not going to go into the rabbit hole on that, but the long story short, that's like your master password for your cryptocurrency. Whoever has that can access your funds.
Yeah.
And that's what they do every single time. So if you can avoid connecting to bad websites and never give someone your seed words, well, then you will almost never be hacked. Those are a couple of the critical components. The last one is people will offer to trade your money for you. That never works. We have never seen that where someone actually made good on their promise. So if someone offers to trade your money for you, give them the middle finger. Know they're trying to screw you, and keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, tell us about, because you just mentioned we teach our students, you have this amazing community of 300 plus people. What are the various investable opportunities? How do people get involved in the alliance? What are the levels? How can people start to study with you, learn from you, join the community, etc.?
Yeah, great question. So we've got we've got a lot of really cool things going on. What we found, David, is this: cryptocurrency is a beautiful asset class, but it has its risks, like you've mentioned here. And we live in a place today where there's not a lack of information, right? You could find anything that you need on the internet, but there's definitely a lack of like cultivating the information in a way where people can understand it and actually use it. And that's where our interest lies. And so we do all of our products with people. We don't just give them information and wish you well, because you're going to need more help than that. So we do everything with our community, and we have a couple of products. The first is we have our full-blown mastermind, where, like Corey said, we've got about 300 members in there. And people come and rock and roll with us. I mean, we have people like Eric in our community who was with us, and within the first 2 weeks, he turned $3,000 into 400K. That is, full disclosure, that doesn't happen every single day. It
happens though.
But it happens. Yeah, things like that happen. We have a ton of people that have turned $1,000 into 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K. We have a lot of those types of examples. Eric is an extreme one, but one that, once again, that happens. With somebody like Tyler, who had a rental portfolio that was making, about what, 5 to 10K a month on his rental portfolio and passive income. He sold one of those rentals. He took 200K in equity, he put it on the blockchain, and now that 200K makes between 10 and 15K a month. That's a little bit better than what his portfolio of rentals were doing.
Yeah, that one rental was $700 a month. So he went from $700 a month to $15K. I was like, bro,
it's insane.
It's wild.
So, and the way to do those things is to be able to have someone hold your hand so that you have your system. You have good security set up in the beginning so you don't get stolen from. And then you go and you have the right things on the blockchain, whether it be appreciation or passive income. We teach everybody how to do that, and we let them choose their path. So you can come in and get the full-blown mastermind. You rock and roll with us this whole crypto bull run, and then we have alternative investments that people can go put their money into to defer any taxes on their crypto gains. That's a really unique thing that nobody else does, where we can teach you how to leverage the bull run, and then also how to preserve the wealth in tax advantaged way. So that's really cool. People can rock and roll with us there. Or if people want to just come and dip their toes in, maybe they don't need tons of help, but they need just a little bit. Or maybe they know absolutely nothing. And they're like, Dane and Corey, just give me a little taste of what you guys have to offer. We have a really cool 30-day boot camp. We run that every single month where people can come in. We'll get the foundation of everything somebody needs to know to participate well in the blockchain. Help them lay their foundation so they can go and really crush things. And then at the end of the 30 days, if they say, hey, we like what you have, then they can come and join our mastermind. If not, that's fine, and we wish them well, and they go and do their own thing.
Wait. We're not just going to listen to this episode. There are downloads, there are resources, there are links, there are bonuses waiting for you on this episode's page when you go over to doitmarketing.com/podcast. That's right, doitmarketing.com/podcast. Grab the notes right under this episode. See you over there. I want to go behind the curtain a little bit. Obviously, you guys are spreading the word on this partly through podcasting, right? So podcast guesting and being on shows like this. I mean, only with good-looking hosts. Really good looking hosts.
We only pick the best.
That's it. So I'm really glad you're here. That's leg number one of the stool. We talk a lot about market eminence in our business with our clients. And the other two legs of the stool are publishing and podcasting. Am I right that you're working on a book?
Yeah, Corey, you want to talk about that?
Tell us about the book.
It's with, I don't know if you're familiar with Robert Allen.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, Robert Allen. He's back from the 1980s. I mean, my dad told me about Robert Allen. He was like the no money down guy, real estate guru from infomercials. I mean, the guy he's an OG in the space. We love that we work with Robert Allen. Now he approached us for one event. Me and Dane were presenting on stage at a real estate event talking about crypto, and he came up and said, hey, look, I miss Bitcoin, I miss Ethereum. I'm not going to miss what you guys are talking about. I want in. And so we worked out a deal where, he came in, and now he's helping us write a book to tell our story from our, all the lessons we've learned from real estate, from this journey, this transition into crypto and beyond. And it's in the very beginning phases of that right now. We'll see what happens when it comes to full fruition. It'd be interesting.
Do you have a target publication date of when the book might be out?
It'll likely be out. We're targeting it'll probably be next year. So that's what we're targeting right now. And it should be a lot of fun. Another thing we're working on with Robert, he's revising one of his most famous books, New York Times bestselling books, his multiple streams of income. It might be something that many of your viewers are familiar with. Yeah. Cryptocurrency, when he wrote that book, of course, it wasn't around then. And so he's republishing, rewriting that. We'll do the section in crypto about that. And so that's something we're working on as well. We don't have a date on that one, so I'll have to get that over to you. But we're really excited about those things that are coming up.
Yeah, multiple streams of income too.
Yes. Another OG classic, right? Really smart book.
Really is, man. He's such a blessing to work with too. A true go-giver. Yeah.
Now, Corey, you mentioned speaking on stages. That is the third leg of the Market Eminence stool. Tell us a little bit about your adventures in speaking and your speaking strategy to get in front of the right audiences.
Yeah. So, I mean, me and Dane came up in the real estate space as far as our entrepreneurship journey was concerned, right? And so, we're like, all right, well, these real estate guys, they really want more crypto exposure. They don't know how to do it. They don't want to get scammed. They want diversification. And so me and Dane just started going to events. I used to be a real estate coach, actually, when I was running my business. And so I knew a lot of the event planners and mastermind guys. And so me and Dane just went on the circuit and started traveling around and speaking at all these different events, talking about cryptocurrency and showing people the opportunity. And that's kind of how we in the early days, is how we built our community. And now we do a lot of online stuff, but we're still doing some on the road speaking. In fact, we got one in California we got to go to.
Yeah.
One in Texas. We got Texas and California here in the next month. And so we still do events and go out and speak. We like networking. We like being in person. We like building relationships. We like showing you what we're doing and how we're doing it, And we know the real estate space really well. And so that's why it was easy for us to go out and just kind of get on the circuit, right? And speak all these different events. And so, We like speaking on stage. Sometimes the travel sucks because we go from Puerto Rico, and like Puerto Rico to California is going to be like a 16-hour day or something.
Totally.
Brutal, man. But we'll be happy once we're there and we're doing it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I know people are going to want to get connected and stay connected to both of you gentlemen. What resources can we share? What links should go in the show notes? What can we offer people as a little bit of a taster if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so we built a case study off of Eric's experience where he turned $3,000 into $400K in a week. So if people want to come and see that case study of how he did that, how we were able to identify that cryptocurrency, they can go check that out over at our website. That's DeFiCashflowSystems.com. Feel free to come over there, check out that case study. We'll do something special for your community though, David. If here's what everybody wants. Everybody wants our picks. Like what are our favorite things that we're buying?
Yeah,
we buy them and all that type of stuff. I want to be really clear. Corey and I, we're not financial advisors. We don't give financial advice, right? All the stuff we do is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I don't know if you could tell we've said that about 1,000,000 times, but there it is. With that being said, if we can talk about the things that we like and how we're approaching them, and everyone has to make their own financial decisions. So if people want a look at some of our favorite picks, these are ones that we're not day trading. Corey and I, we don't primarily do tons of trading. This is something we're doing for freedom, like Corey said, and not a bunch of, a second job. We teach people how to approach cryptocurrency in a very passive way that doesn't take much time. If they want some of our favorite picks for this bull run that we're buying right now and we feel really confident in holding for likely the rest of this year, they can go ahead and come and visit us. We'll share the link with you in the show notes.
Great.
And we'll give them we'll create a video just for your community so they can have a look at that.
Awesome. Incredibly generous. Well, Corey Geary, Dane Bollwinkel, thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are rock stars in a very, very exciting industry, and I'm sure people will want to get connected and stay connected to your brilliance, your advice, your community, and check out the links in the show notes directly under this episode at thesellingshow.com. Gentlemen, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
And that wraps up another episode of The Selling Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, tell a friend, go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thesellingshow.com. See you next time.